Yo, yo, what's up, Adam?
Yo, what's going on, Mason? How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
I'm alive. I'm here. We're live. Episode 60 of the Assemblage Beverage podcast. Yeah, 60.
Woo!
Yeah, this is all about rye whiskey. So I think we're
Yeah.
between whiskey or Don't Cry, Drink Rye as our title. Not sure what we're gonna go with, but
Don't cry, drink rye.
don't
Done.
cry, drink rye. Can't even
Yeah.
say it, but yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. So we're talking about rye whiskey today. Before we jump into rye whiskey, let's hear from our sponsor, Mason.
Whoop whoop.
Shout out to our
Shoes.
sponsor, Shoes Pizzeria. Mason, you know what's amazing after a long night of drinking whiskey, and in this case, rye?
What's that?
2 tree mozzarella sticks, a hot, fresh, cheesy, meaty pizza from Shoes Pizzeria, which will get your mind right.
Mm.
Am I
Yes,
right?
please. Yeah.
Yeah. Big old greasy pizza, greasy mozzarella sticks, some
Are you
ranch.
are you a fold? Or are you
Oh
a
yeah.
straight up?
Oh yeah. Fold it up.
Fold it up. I feel
Yeah.
you.
It helps every time. I won't even say how many times I've been hungover or eating at Shoes. It's a lot. And it always gets my mind right. Shoes is a neighborhood favorite and has been a place where the local Valparaisoans eat since they opened in 2010. I don't think that's what the people of Valparaiso call themselves, but as one, I can call them Valparaisoans. Go check them out at 3300 North Calumet Avenue in Valparaiso, Indiana. Open 7 days a week and 6 of those days for lunch. Tell Chris that Mason and Adam sent you. Go check them out. Shoes Pizzeria, Valparaiso, Indiana. Best pizza, wings, subs, and salads in the northwest of Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Mason. So we've
Oh,
got a long podcast ahead of us. We've got a lot of brown liquor in front of. I know you've got a bunch of brown liquor on the side of you. I've got a bunch of brown liquor on the side of me, and we've got a really fun technically 5 bottle tasting if you think about it.
yeah,
Wait, one,
technically.
two,
Yeah.
three, four,
I've
five.
got
Yeah, 5 bottle tasting.
we've got one shared, two separates.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So
So we both did some shopping this week with some different rye whiskeys. Rye was picked out by Mason. Not something I'm super familiar with drinking, but Mason loves it. And, we kind of splurged on, I guess, ourselves this week. But, you all get to live vicariously through us in our rye whiskey journey. But we basically have one, as Mason said, one of the same bottling. We each have one that's a little bit different. Technically, it's the same thing, but it's different bottling. And then we both have one kind of wild card rye. So, Mason, I know we kind of covered this I guess it's probably a couple months ago when we had our whiskey season or whiskey season podcast. But can you just kind of go over and, kind of remind us all, including me, what is rye whiskey?
yeah. So rye whiskey primarily has to be rye used in the creation of that specific whiskey. Rye is a very robust, spicy character and dark and rich in flavor. Spicy. One of the cool things about rye is it contains less sugar than the rest of the grains used when making distilled spirits. This definitely makes it more temperamental, a little bit bratty, you could say, and is something that takes a lot of practice to tame it and make it something amazing. But if you do it right, it comes out absolutely crushing it. The power of a linebacker, but the beauty and the grace of a ballerina. So, rye whiskeys. We're excited.
We are excited. Mason, you want to? Because I don't have anything in my 3 glasses in front of me. I don't know if you do,
I
but
don't either yet.
I think we need to pour ourselves some rye and get into the rye podcast. So, should we start with kind of each of our own oddball rye
Yeah.
whiskeys?
So, what are you pouring?
So, just to be completely honest with y'all, we tried to get the same 3 rye whiskeys, but we both live in different states with different distribution, different, stuff, and I basically cockily, not cockily. I basically was very cocky with Mason, and I said, you pick out the ryes. Mason lives in an ABC state, so it means that his selections can be a little bit more
Tight.
tight. Whereas Atlanta, I mean,
Selective.
yeah, I mean, and Atlanta is a much bigger city than Charlotte is too. So, I was like, whatever you can find, I can find. That was not the case. So I have Laws San Luis Valley Straight Rye Whiskey. It is cask strength, which it was bottled at 61.1% alcohol. So it is a hot guy.
Spicy.
Yep. And it's coming from Colorado. We'll talk a little bit more about Laws a little bit later, but I know that you were excited that I pulled this one because it was one of your favorites.
Oh yeah, definitely. Um, I'm like really excited for us to talk about that because I have so many memories to chit chat about that. But the one I'm drinking today is the Barrel Rye Single Barrel, and this one is cask strength as well, straight rye whiskey. This one is 108.36 proof,
So it's like 54 point.
54.18% alcohol.
Wow.
So another strong, spicy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
very excited.
yeah. So we were both trying to find all of them as single barrels, and we did that with two of the three. The second one is they're the one that we have the same. It's actually a small batch, not a single barrel. But Mason, give your rye a taste. I know you've opened it a couple days ago and you've kind of dipped into it. This is my first time trying all three of these, so
Yeah. I don't know what you're talking about. This is the first time for sure.
it was Devil's Cut, right? It was Devil's Cut that left the bottle.
Yeah.
That's why it's not full all the way, right?
But yes, it was a good time. Definitely had to pre-taste a couple of them. I did leave the same one that we're drinking together for a first timer. Ooh, look at that face. He got it. He got it.
That is
But
cask
barrel,
strength for sure. Jesus
that
Christ.
is. So this for me, I don't know about you. We'll talk about it, but for me, right off the nose, super beautiful, super caramel, super nice. Like I would say, just so many different earth tones. I don't know. There's just hard to describe so many different things going in this glass. And then right off the palate, super clean. I would honestly like has a zing on it and then kind of cools right off. I did cheat a little bit, and I let a little bit of my ice melt just a little bit just to water it down properly. I don't know if you did that or not. Are you
I
doing
don't
it
even have
straight?
ice.
You don't have ice,
I don't
so
even have ice.
yeah. So you're drinking it straight. It's a little bit harder when you do that. Maybe if you want to throw a splash of your water in there, that might be the good
Yeah, I
move.
might
But
have to.
up to you. So I'm really excited about this. Barrel is something that I had not kind of dove deep into and was just like super excited about this one because one, I think it was 2020 and through 2022, it received, some of the top nominations in the world for best whiskeys from the barrel people. And the way that they kind of do it is very strange and cool. Every single time they bring out a new one, completely different. Their their job is to make unique special drink barrel whiskeys by blending from all over the world, different variations to make it something that's unique to the barrel, into the barrel, into their barrel bottle. Wow, that's a great way to describe it. But founded in 2012 by Joe and Jan Patrice, then Trip Stimson, excuse me, joins in 2017 and really helps kind of make it into something amazing. First release being in 2014, Louisville based. So shout out Louisville because you guys know how to make whiskey. And they just have been on a rampage, creating bottle after bottle, craziness after craziness. 10 of their best recent ones being their barrel bourbon batch 31. They go by numbers. So, let me see. Is there a number on this one? Uh, Maybe 180 would be the number. Cask strength M236, which looking this one up, I couldn't really find any one specific information on this. So who knows if it's like one of their best ones or not? It could be, one of the ones that isn't. But overall, I still love it. So I think that's all that really matters.
Yeah, I mean that's all that matters. As long as you like it, that's all. Because you're going to be the one that probably drinks the majority of it. I don't know that Alex is a bourbon or rye or whiskey drinker. Yeah, neither
Nope.
is Liv. So I mean, these bottles will last me
A little
a,
bit of
a
time.
long time. It'll last me probably longer than it'll last you. But I feel like
Until I
I don't know which, and not that it's competition, but I feel like we both drink a decent amount, but I feel like we drink different things. Like my go-to is tequila, whereas I feel like your go-to is like whiskey of some
Very
sort.
true.
So
Yeah.
it's just like I probably go through way more tequila than you do, and you go through way more whiskey than I do. I mean, it's all what's the 2 dozen of each, and then something another six
Two
another.
dozen each, half dozen of another.
I don't know, whatever it
I
is.
don't know. I get what you're saying.
Um, yeah, but anyway, so I got Law's Whiskey House. Their San Luis Valley Straight Rye Whiskey. It is a single barrel. It is C-21. Cask strength, like I said, at 61.1%. And boy, it fucking knocks your socks off that first like swig I took. But
Really
it's
hit you.
interesting. Yeah, I mean, because most
You-
things I drink are 40%, right, or 80 proof. This is basically 122.2 proof, which is hot.
That's very
But
spicy.
it is very spicy. But at the same time, it's very smooth.
Did you
Um,
add a little water to that
I
too?
added a couple splashes of water, and it almost has like in the most nostalgic way, it almost has like a chocolate Tootsie Roll note to it. Like in just a very like not chocolatey, kind of like that fake chocolate of a Tootsie Roll.
Hmm.
Um, a little bit of like cinnamon and smoke. It kind of reminds me of a non-peaty Scotch in some ways. Because it has that spiciness that sometimes I equivalate with Scotch. It just isn't like smoky or peaty. On the palate, it's super. I hate to say it's smooth because it's smooth, but it sucker punches you with like heat in the back of your throat. But it is very like drinkable. It is very enjoyable. And I think with a big cube, this would be phenomenal. It's opened up just a little bit because I put a couple of drops of cold water in it, so it's kind of starting to like you start to get a little bit more nuance when you add water because it like basically it water will kind of break up the molecules in the whiskey, which allows the aromas to come out. So most like whiskey purists, they'll just add a couple of like drops of water in their whiskey, and they won't even add ice because they don't want it to be watered down. They really just want to like break up those molecules and like make it so it's a little bit more palatable or a little bit more enjoyable. Laws was started in 2011 by Al Law. They didn't release their
Very
first
nice guy.
bottle. Is he? Have you met
Oh
him?
yeah. Oh yeah. It was great. When I met him, he was super nice. Just down to earth, reasonable guy that just loves to make great whiskey.
Yeah. And it's so nice, like, and again, there's levels of stardom and levels of like famous people. I I'll tell a story later. I met a pretty famous person today. Actually, I was in a coffee shop, but it is nice to see when, famous people are still like down to earth and they are, I mean, at the end of the day, they are just normal people. They just happen to be like good at like super good at something so they become famous, right? Like that's the
Yeah.
only difference between us and them is they found a niche and they took off with it. Um, but anyways, they didn't release their first bottles in 2014. Um, and the cool thing about Law is they get all of their grains. They're all heirloom grains, and they get them all from two small family farms in Colorado. When they are producing their whiskey, they focus on open air on grain fermentation, which captures the terroir of Colorado. So they kind of let whatever temperature or whatever may be in the air that day kind of to interact with the grains, while they're being fermented. So you kind of get subtle nuances, and then each individual bottling may be slightly different because of that whiskey maybe was in contact with the air a little bit longer, or maybe it was more humid or more dry or whatever, factors that kind of can affect, the grains, which then affect the finished product. There's no master distiller at Laws. As they say, it takes a village to make their whiskey, which is pretty cool. To me, that really just puts ego aside, and they're just like, hey, we want to make the best whiskeys, whiskeys, ryes, things like that we possibly can, and no one's kind of just saying like, this is how I want them made, right? They use copper pot stills for all their distillation, and their big thing is grain to glass. They're a grain to glass distillery, so they're really proud of the heirloom grains that they use, not only rye but also corn and barley and all that kind of stuff. So really cool. I'd never heard of it. I just, to be honest with you, is kind of the price point that I was looking for, and it was a single barrel rye. So I said, let's do it. And it is really, really good. I think it would be really great in a cocktail. Boulevardier, I think it'd be great in a old fashioned, just to kind of add like a little bit of sweetness to it, and a little bit of ice to cool it down. I think it would be a great cocktail. And most of the time, cask strength spirits are better in cocktails because they hold up to sweetness, they hold up to water, all that stuff. So really good stuff. I'm a huge fan, and really quite reasonably priced. So
Yeah. Yeah. I'm so glad you like it. Like it just brings joy to me because like I have Laws in my decanter on my shelf. They're rye whiskey OG, um, which is funny. I like should have Alex go grab that bottle, but it's just so great to like that you love it because that was like one of my favorites that I've ever come across, and then for you just to find it on a whim, and maybe it was part of our conversation one time. It was just in the back of your head, and just kind
yeah,
of that's it. That's the one I'm grabbing. So
well,
just super great.
and because I looked hard for the single barrel rye, and I found
Yeah,
other barrel products, but I just know, and I like went to probably I think 5 or 6 stores, and then I called a whole bunch of more. Like within, I was telling Mason earlier, like within like a 30-mile radius, I had called like every liquor store, and no one, people had barrel products, but not the single barrel rye. So
just wild, you know.
I went back to the first store, which actually had the most barrel products that any other store had. But I was just looking around and found this one. I'm like, sure, let's go for it. And it's really good. I definitely enjoy it. So,
Yeah,
Mason, should we jump into the next one, which I guess would be the one that
oddballs.
we both have the same exact bottle?
Yeah. So we both got. Oh, you want to do same exact bottle?
Yeah, let's do the small batch rye
Okay.
whistle
All right.
pig.
So we both got Whistle Pig two types of bottles from
Mm-hmm.
Whistle Pig. One that is exactly the same and one that's slightly different, but both being the 10 years of the for both of them for their specific types. So Whistle Pig, super cool brand, founded in 2008 by David Pickett or Pickerel, excuse me. Um, he has now passed on from this world, so thank you for all the beautifulness that you have brought into this world with Whistle Pig. But really, really cool because they found this distillery up in Vermont. They found an old dairy farm that they did dairy barn that they decided to turn into a distillery, and it was 150 years old when they found it, and then started making beautiful whiskeys out of it, specifically rye related. with most of theirs. Again, they're copper still. They do 7 days a week, which is crazy production. But I'm pretty sure almost everyone has heard of Whistle Pig. They
Hmm.
kind of came to market and just made a big splash, made a big name with all of their different varieties. But specifically, I think the most common, the most easily accessible is this 10-year that they have.
Yep, I
Why don't
really
you give
like
it a shot?
their piggyback rye too. Their
Oh,
piggyback rye
yeah.
is great. And honestly, like they make a really good because they're from Vermont, so they make really good maple syrups too, and they make like cocktail maple syrup. So they have a smoked maple syrup, and then they have an orange maple syrup, which is really great too. So really fun. You know, it's great to make like a maple old fashioned with Whistle Pig whiskey and Whistle Pig maple syrup. Just like a cool concept.
Yeah.
See, this
So,
is already much
cleaner.
like less
Oh, yeah.
abrasive than the first one because it's this is only 100. This is 100 proof, so
Yep.
50% alcohol. So for Mason,
Hey,
it's lower. For me, it's like 11.1% lower in alcohol.
your bottle number right there, that very first one, mine's A-359.
Wow, mine's A-358.
Oh, look at that. So
Yeah,
even
so
small, tiny probably variation between the two bottles.
yeah, yeah, but I mean, pretty close. I mean,
Yeah, because they do their best to make year to year bottling exactly the same for this kind of one. So there's probably the micro just differences, but right off the nose, this is just super clean,
hmm
super beautiful. I get quite a bit of maple and honey,
hmm
almost like a little bit of honeysuckle, which is pretty cool.
yeah, you get just like a slight caramel note, but it is almost more honey than it is like actual like cooked sugar caramel.
Yeah.
It's
Ooh.
so smooth.
Oh yeah. Very little burn,
hmm
kind of at the end. Really sweet going in a like a beautiful kind of way, and just like rests right there on the palate. Like that's a beautiful.
hmm
Yes, yes, please. Let's keep pouring that one.
Yeah,
Damn.
but like for me, it's significantly sweeter than the first one.
Especially
So
going from that percentage. That
yeah,
what is it? 120,
one
118.
122.2 to 100.
Yeah, you're not feeling.
No, so I mean, I probably should have ended with the cask strength one, but it is what it is. But it's almost you start to wonder, and I don't know, I don't think that Whistle Pig does, but you start to wonder like whiskey producer to whiskey producer, like who is adding things that they're maybe not supposed to, who's adding sugar, who's adding flavoring, and a lot of the times it's not illegal to do that as long as it's like a natural product. But and again, it could just be the fact that my palate was so blown away by the cask strength that now it's like, man, this is like not water, but this is like super smooth. It's just interesting that the things you taste before can affect the things you taste after.
Yeah. So I think one of the really cool things is they have 500 acres of their own land, but they also choose to purchase a lot of their grain from Canada to kind of Alberta, Canada to kind of help continue to mass produce their
Mm-hmm.
amazing whiskeys.
Because I feel like,
And go ahead.
oh, no, go ahead.
And I was just going to say, they produce quite a few, but six like specific types. And then when we get into our specialty one of the coolest things about this place is they create specialty to the consumer, designed by the consumer style of whiskeys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like Whistlepig, I feel like when it first came to the market, like I remember it first coming onto the market, and like just not that we could drink back in. I don't remember when they started. Did you say 2008?
2008 they started. I think 2010 or 2011 they released their first bottle, but I'm not 100% sure.
But or even like early on in the bartending game or when we were in school, like I always thought that Whistle Pig was such like this small like product, really artisan because it was kind of expensive.
It was.
And I mean it's
Well,
still
like,
I
still
would
kind of expensive.
it's still kind of
Sure.
expensive. But now I mean they produce a ton of whiskey and rye. But I think their quality is really good. Like I said, I like their piggyback rye. This is fantastic. I've had their bourbons before, and and their bottles are really cool too. It's kind of a more, like I don't know what the shape of this is, but it's almost more like a
A heart.
almost
Fits right there
yeah.
perfectly.
But yeah, it's really good, really smooth.
Oh,
To me, I think this would be better as like a sipping rye. Still would be good in cocktails, but I think that this is a really good sipper too.
yeah, I agree. Well, should we move on to the final and most interesting bottling for us here
Mm-hmm.
on this one? So we both got their Whistle Pig single barrel rye, 10-year in age.
Yep.
But mine specifically was Charlotte Bourbon Society style
Mm-hmm.
creation, and yours,
Mine was bottled exclusively for Liz and Judd, which I'm assuming they're the owners of the liquor store I bought it from, but
yeah,
I
which
don't
is
know.
that. You know what? You need to go back and ask because that honestly is pretty cool. Or Liz and Judd specifically ordered these bottles and then decided not to purchase all of them,
Mm-hmm.
which
Yeah,
is pretty wild,
yeah.
honestly. So
Mason,
mine,
oh, go ahead.
I was gonna
Sorry.
say mine is from S-D-1. It is 103.8 at 51.9%.
And mine is 1 K 7. My proof is 109.6, which is
Spicy.
54.8% alcohol. And it's kind of cool because I didn't realize that there was such a big difference from barrel to barrel. I mean, it makes sense, right? They're all their own individual, science experiments, for lack of a better word. But when we both got it, I noticed as we were sitting here that the proof sticker on here is like basically you could peel this off if you wanted to. It's kind of like a separate sticker
Addition.
that they stuck on there.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, that's weird. So I asked Mason, hey, what's the proof? And he told me, and I'm like, wow, it's essentially the same whiskey, but it's not, which is pretty cool. So, because when I'm gonna you know talk about what Mason and I were talking on the phone the other day, and he was going around buying whiskey. And he's like, "Oh, I just found this single barrel, special bottling of Whistle Pig 10-year." And then he calls me later and he goes, "Dude, I fucked up." Or you called me and you're like, "I think you had thought you had fucked up," and then you're like, "No, it makes sense, and you're gonna have a local bottling too." But basically, he's like, "Oh my god, I just bought a Charlotte Whiskey Club, exclusive bottling of the Whistle Pig 10-year. How are you going to find that?" And then you had the realization, like, well, there's probably like an Atlanta Whiskey Club, or someone is getting a single barrel here in Atlanta. So it kind of makes for, yes, it's the same rye, but it's a much different rye, because it is single barrel, which is cool.
Yeah. I really like how you phrase that because, in the moment I was freaking out. I was just like, fuck, man, now we're not going to have the same exact bottle. But then after I thought about it, I was like, you know what? This actually is kind of cool because it's almost the same bottle, but we're going to have slightly different noses or tastes. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know.
Yeah.
Yours being slightly
Cheers.
higher in alcohol is definitely going to be a little spicier. Cheers.
Ding.
Ding.
Yeah, I mean, to me, right off the bat, it's like fresh cut apple is like the first thing I smell. It's like very like honey crisp apple forward,
Hmm. I think more like a broken cinnamon twist
like from
than
Taco Bell.
That's funny. No, more like really fresh cinnamon.
Okay. See, my ass was thinking about it because cinnamon
Ugh.
twist low key sound really good right now.
It's all the whiskey talking.
That's right. That's right.
And then straight after that, right into apple, orange peel, maybe some baking spices.
For me, it like splits right down the middle. Like it's definitely a lot spicier than the small batch 10-year rye, but it's definitely not as abrasive as the laws. I mean, it's got some kick to it. It definitely hits you right in your throat.
Yeah. This one is definitely. Is this the highest proof for me? Um, Definitely feels the spiciest. 103, 100. I don't know. Is this one? This one was 108. So the barrel was a little bit spicier, technically, a little hotter. Um, this is definitely feeling like it's a little spicier, which is pretty crazy to me, honestly.
Yeah,
That might be the whiskey's talking, but
could be. Yeah, it very well could be. I mean, it is even though we're only sipping a little bit of it, it definitely like they're high proof spirits. I mean, even the least proofed whiskey that we drank tonight was still 50 proof, or sorry, 100 proof, so 50% alcohol,
yeah,
which is a pretty, your kind of your standard vodka, tequila, gin is 40 proof, or I'm sorry, 80 proof, so 40% alcohol. Um, so they're definitely high octane. You definitely, if you're going to do this at home, definitely do it, responsibly. Don't drive, and
don't drive.
just kick back and relax and enjoy. Well,
Yeah.
Mason, I wanna tell a little bit of a story today,
Okay.
and then we'll get into our question of the day.
I think that's a
Um,
great move.
so today, I was kind of talking to Mason about this. I met a celebrity today. Maybe not everyone knows who they are, but they're a pretty well-known rapper. And I was in a local coffee shop at work. My boss had asked me to grab him a cappuccino, which he so often does. Because he thinks I'm, his coffee boy sometimes, but it is what it is. I mean, at the end of the day, I can use the company card to buy myself a coffee too, so I'm not going to complain too much. So anyway, I order my cappuccino. I'm standing there waiting for them to make it, and in walks a group of gentlemen. And they walk in, and I'm not really paying attention because it's a small coffee shop, but it's super like popular in Atlanta, and like they've got great pastries and great coffee and stuff. So there's always people in and out of there. So in walks this group, and I was like, wow, that guy's really tall. And I'm like, man, that looks like Tyler the Creator, who, again, people who listen to this podcast may or may not know who Tyler the Creator is, but pretty big rapper. Especially like in the mid 2010s, like really got popular for his kind of ultra aggressive, like kind of just did a different style of rap. He kind of just told a story and was, has a super like raspy voice, and you know, his music's definitely progressed over the years. As he's gotten a little bit older, I think he's kind of like toned it down a little bit. But anyway, so I'm like, man, that looks like Tyler the Creator, and he had a hat on, and he's walking around, and I'm looking at the guys that are with him, and I'm like, these are the other members of Odd Future, which is the rap group that Tyler the Creator was in and kind of, I guess, founded. And like Frank Ocean, which Frank Ocean's like a huge name, was in Odd Future at the very beginning, and like so I'm, looking at these guys. I'm like, that's Taco Bennett, who was in Dave as like Dave's best friend, which is a Little Dicky show on FX. And I'm like, damn, that is Tyler the Creator. So they're looking around, and my coffees are done. And the coffee place I go to, they just give you your coffees without lids on them, and then there's like a little station with the lids. And so I'm like, they're putting the lids on, and one of the guys in his group was like, I don't know what I want to order, and I just hear Tyler the Creator say, "It's called a menu, dumbass," and the guy's like, "Well, where's the menu?" And he's like, "Oh, it's right there in front of that sexy guy over there," and and me being a regular at this coffee shop, I know exactly where the menus are, and they are right dead in front of me. And I kind of turn around, and I'm like, I literally turn around, like, oh shit, you're Tyler the Creator. And he's like, yeah, man. And he like fucking goes to fist bump me. We fist bump. And I'm like, in order to fist bump him, I kind of like stacked both of the coffees on, it's like the lids that you can kind of like put the other cup on top of it.
Yeah.
Fist bump him. He's like, oh man, don't drop your coffees. I'm like, nah, man, I won't. I was like, have a good one, guys. And just like walked out. And I was like, holy fuck, that was Tyler the Creator. Like, that was crazy.
Yo.
But there's a bunch of recording studios right by my work, so I'm sure that they were there like recording music, and then they like went over on their lunch break or something. But I like went
Yo.
back and I was like, holy shit, Tyler the Creator just said I was a sexy man.
You got
So
that props. That's
yeah,
what I'm talking about.
yeah, I was like, holy shit. So I thought about taking a photo, but I was like,
Nah.
I don't want to be one of those people that's like, you know,
Can we get a
I
photo?
I tried to play it cool, just gave him knucks and like, no, I've got a story to tell. I don't really need a photo to post on my Instagram or something. Like, it's just cool to just like see him out in public, and like he was super chill. I mean, he was just giving his friends a hard time, like
In
just
a good
saying the
way.
same
It's just
shit that
like
I
so much
would
fun.
probably say to you, like, I don't know what to get.
Yeah.
Well, look at
Well,
the menu, you
fuck.
fucking dumbass. Like, that's just
Yeah.
like, and when he was talking to me, he's just like very like, yeah, that's me. Like just very like nonchalant about it. So,
I love that.
huge shout out to Tyler the Creator. Like, and then I was listening
Yo.
to his music the whole like rest of the day.
Of course.
And yeah, I mean, it was just unbelievable. And I went back to work and I told my GM and my director of operations, they're like, fuck, why didn't you call me? I fucking love Tyler the Creator. And I was like, oh, dude, you just had to be there. I was like, you could probably go back there. I mean,
He
it's
might
they.
still be there.
He probably is still there if they're all ordering food. Because I mean, this place is tiny. Like they probably only have like one or two cooks making all the food. So, but yeah, super cool story. Um, Kind of was the highlight of the day. So shout
Yeah.
out Tyler the
That.
Creator.
Yo, shout out Tyler the Creator. Come like our podcast. We like you so much. So,
Yeah.
yo, that honestly like is awesome. I was not expecting all that little extras because we kind of like hinted at it prior to us talking on it. But like, man, that is a compliment. Sexy man from Tyler the Creator.
Hey, that might be in my IG bio
Uh,
moving forward. But Mason, should we wrap it up with the old question of the day?
I think that's a good move, Adam. Before we get a little too much fun in this place.
Yeah, and today, I feel like normally with the question of the day, we're always doing like the question kind of relates to our podcast topic in some sort of way. Well, today's question of the day is more of was scrolling on social media earlier, and this question was being talked about on another podcast. I don't even know what podcast it was from. It was literally like as I was scrolling through TikTok, it just like was one of those random videos that pops up, and so the question was, if you could have a beverage dispensed from each of your fingers on one hand, what would they be? Meaning you could have unlimited of 5 beverages dispensing on one of your hands. So like, pointer finger could be water, all that first. So you have 5 beverages unlimited. Mason, what are your 5 beverages that would dispense from your hand?
That is a hard one. That's gonna it's gonna be really difficult for me to decide. All right, but I'm gonna go for it. I'm just gonna shoot my shot right here. All right. So, pinky finger, sparkling water. Ring finger is going to be whiskey, specifically Weller Green Label. Middle finger is going to be tequila, extra añejo.
Hell yeah.
Pointer finger is going to be Oh gosh, this is hard. Apple juice.
Wow.
Yep. Yep. And thumb is going to be best in class tequila rando.
What do you mean tequila rando?
Just you never know what you're gonna get.
So
Just
is this a
pour
random tequila?
every time you pour, just something different.
Hmm. Kind of a cheating answer there, but I'll let it slide. I'll let
All
it
right,
slide.
all
I'll let
right.
it slide. All right, for me. All right, I'm gonna go pinky. I'm gonna do still water. Ring finger. I'm gonna do Miller High Life.
I should have bought a beer. I
Yeah.
didn't put a beer on there.
Middle finger. I'm gonna do a reposado tequila. Pointer finger. I'm gonna do like a really like a slightly sweet cold brew coffee.
I didn't even do coffee.
Yeah,
Come
no
on,
coffee.
Mason.
Because I think that
I like that.
I think that the hot coffee would hurt. And second of all, like I feel like
Ugh.
I love black coffee, but when it comes to cold brew, like I need some sort of like light sweetener to it because sometimes it can be really like aggressive and like bitter. So yeah, so I've got what do I got? Stillwater, Miller High Life, Reposado Tequila, slightly sweet cold brew, and then my thumb. My thumb, I'm gonna do the light blue Powerade. I think it's like it's called like Cool Rush or something like that. I don't even know what flavor it is. It's kind of like a blueberry pomegranate kind of flavor. Actually, no, I take that back. I don't want the Powerade. I'm gonna do blueberry pomegranate Aha, which is a sparkling water.
Ooh,
That's gonna
yeah.
be on the thumb. That shit's so fucking good.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Honestly, if I were to go back, the only thing I would change is the thumb from random tequila to cold brew or espresso shot. You got me. You won. You knew exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah. I mean, that is like an absolutely electric question.
Mm.
Like like that's just such a good, especially for beverage people. Like if you just asked like some rando, they'd probably be like, I don't know, like water and coffee and fucking
Whatever. Yeah.
whatever. But it is hard because it's like not that you can have other beverages, but like how fucking cool would it be to just be like sitting at your desk and be like, man, I need some cold brew. Like yeah, like I would probably pour it into a cup, but like yeah, you could just like you're just in there.
You could just shot it right into your mouth. You
That's
know,
true.
apple
That's
juice. Let's go tequila.
Yeah.
You can make a drink in your mouth.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's an electric question. So we would love to hear what your 5 beverages that you could dispense from your fingers. What would they be? Hit them up in our Spotify question. Mason, before we go, what is your favorite whiskey that we try, or favorite rye, second favorite rye, third favorite rye of yours?
All right. First favorite, honestly, was that small batch rye. It was really good. Second favorite, honestly, was the barrel. And third favorite, of course, being the specialty Charlotte blend. I don't think I have the same taste buds here of Charlotte people, but don't get me wrong, it was still very good.
Yeah.
But we don't have the same taste buds here in Charlotte. Sorry,
Yeah.
team.
And that's okay, you know, to each their own. Like some people like, and that's the cool thing about palates and different perspectives and people is like everyone likes what they like, and you know, it might be too abrasive for you, but to someone it's perfect because obviously they're the ones that picked it and wanted their name on it, right? Like
Right, the whole Charlotte Country Club.
Yeah.
Wait, the Charlotte
whiskey
Bourbon Society.
bourbon society. Yeah.
That's
I
what they
mean,
want.
hey, it's. I bet I'm not actually. I'm not even gonna say it.
Uh,
I was gonna say something mean. I'm not gonna say it.
all right. What about you?
So for me, my number one, the Whistle Pig Small Batch, 10-year.
Nice.
Super smooth, delicious. Could be like a daily drinker. Second favorite, I'm gonna do Laws, the San Luis Valley Rye. Even though it was very aggressive and abrasive, I think that also drinking it neat is kind of a psychotic move. And just like jumping into it and taking like a bigger sip than I should have. But yeah, really great. I can't wait to like make some cocktails with it. Maybe we will do so, on the old TikTok, the old Instagram reel. And then third, I'm going the Whistle Pig Single Barrel Rye. Kind of the same thing. I mean, even though it's a lower proof than the cask strength, I feel like it was a little bit more abrasive, and I liked the aromas coming off of it better than I liked the flavor of it. So again, it
Fair.
was still good. It's still a fantastic whiskey rye, but just not my favorite of the three. So
Fair.
yeah. Well, Mason, I guess that's it. But before we go,
Little shout out.
little shout out, Shoes Pizzeria. Thank you to our sponsor, Assemblage Golf, coming soon on the old assemblagebevco.com. And thirdly, we are going to be soon doing a giveaway on our Instagram for a piece of artwork. Yeah, piece of wine artwork made by us at Assemblage. More details to come, and it'll be a cool piece of artwork. I got one over there. I don't know if you can see it, but I'll kind of hand
Let's
to
do a
it.
little sneak peek.
Sneak peek. I don't think this is gonna work. I regret that instantly.
Oh, yeah, that it didn't work. Maybe taking it off the wall or the piece might be the better move.
That probably would be the better move. See if my headphones go that long.
You got it. You got it. You got it.
So it'll be a piece.
And we're good to go. Here we go.
It'll be a piece. Not this piece, because this is staying in the office, but it'll be a piece similar to this. Hard to tell on here, but it is a smashed champagne bottle.
That's so
set in
pretty.
resin. So it'll be something similar to this. That will be a giveaway on our Instagram. So be sure to stay tuned to that. Smash that motherfucking subscribe button. Follow, like, all that good stuff. Rate us on Spotify, because we need your support. We love you guys. And until next time, I'm Adam.
I'm Mason.
And keep on blending.
blending.
Love you guys.
Peace.
Peace.